Hey everyone, it's time for our next square in the crochet along for the blanket we're doing. So this one is square number 6, and this is utilizing the Trinity Stitch. So to start, you're going to chain 26 loosely. So just as it comes off the hook. Okay, once you have your 26 chains, you are going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So 1, 2, and you're going to start every row with a single crochet. Now, in order to do the Trinity stitch, you're going to go right back into the bottom of that single crochet, right there where we just finished. You're going to pull up a loop. Now you have 2. Then you're going to go into the next stitch and pull up a loop, and the next stitch and pull up a loop until you have 4 loops on the hook. Yarn over and go through all 4 and do a single chain. Let's do that again. So we're going to go into that same stitch right here where we just finished. So go into the stitch, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, next stitch, pull up a loop. Now we have 4 loops. Yarn over and bring it through all 4 and then do a chain. So it's the stitch we just finished and the next 2. Okay, and that's how we're going to get the 4. Okay, let's do it again. So the same stitch we just finished. So now we have 2. Go into the next one, bring another one, that's 3, and another one, and that's 4. Go through all 4 and chain 1. And you can see that it's starting to travel across. Okay, so go into the stitch down at the bottom there. It's 2 and 3 and 4. So you just keep doing this all the way across. Okay, we're getting close to the end. This one here is my knot, and this is my last 2, and here's the bottom of the one I just finished. So you should end up that way. Then I cinch up my little knot and then turn. Now to start row 2, and row 2 is the repeat row, you're going to have to do a single crochet right here. So it's right in that, right underneath your chain 1. So you're going to do a single crochet in there because we're always going to start the row with a single crochet. There's our single. Now we're going to come over and we're going to go right back into it, because that's how we do that stitch. Right in and pull up a loop. Now we go right into here, pull up a loop, and right into here and pull up a loop. Pull through all 4 and chain 1. And by doing that single crochet here at the edge, it keeps it straight. Now sometimes when you go across, this second stitch can be a little tight right there because we cinched it when we put our chain 1 in. Okay, go back into the bottom of the stitch, pull up a loop, next, and the next stitch is right here with these 2 that are across the top. Front and back loop, see? Same here, but sometimes you have to push it. That's the one that we cinched. Go through all 4 and chain 1. Back into the bottom of the stitch. And there's the next one, and there's that one. I just always kind of put my finger behind and push it through. But try to work semi-loosely. You don't want to cinch too tight on everything. And we want this to be a 7 by 7. So we're pretty close to our 7 right there, but it'll grow just a little bit as we go along. Let's see if I get this up a little bit closer. Okay. There's the bottom of the stitch right there. Follow it down into there, see? Now they're going through the front and back of there. And into there. Now we have 4. And then chain 1. Okay, I'll meet you on the other end. Okay, now I'm at my last stitch again. See, I have the 2 left. See right there? There's 1 and there's 2. So I'm going to go down into this one here that I just worked. And then the 1, and then the next one. Right there, I have my 4. Pull through all 4 and chain 1. And again, repeat that row until this measures 7 inches. Let me see if I can show you what this looks like here. It's a real pretty little texture. So again, to start, just to remind you, we did our chain 1, so we go back into that. So we're going to go into this twice. We're going to go in there and do our single crochet, and then we're going to go back into there to start our stitch. Pull up a loop, pull up a loop, 4 on the hook, bring it through, chain 1. Okay, you guys, I'll see you when this is 7 inches. Okay, so I did forget to mention, don't forget to mark the front here. So here's where we started. So this first row here is the front. So go ahead and put your little string in there so that you'll know. And I kind of decided at the last minute here that I'm going to change color. We have not done this yet. So on this particular one, and I tried it different ways, you're going to want to change the color when you do that chain. So don't chain 1 when you finish, just turn, put your hook in there, and pull your yarn through. Now pull that chain, that loop tight there. Now you're going to single crochet. So this is a little tricky, but you've got your loop on there. Go into that loop. I'm going to bring that tail in. Pull that up and do a single crochet. Now you've got to keep tightening that down. Now that we've got that done, we've got to go back into there to do our Trinity stitch. So like I said, it's a little tricky, but just get down into the base of that again and pull up a loop. Now we're going to go into this first one here and the next one. Now we've got 4 loops. Pull it through all 4 and chain 1. And then just go back and kind of tidy things up a little. Because if you don't do it this way, then you see the pink coming up the side where the chain will be. So that's the way that I saw where it would work better. And so this is just a scrap that I have pulled out of my scrap bucket. So we're going to go back into that one we just did. Now the next stitch. And now the next stitch. Pull through all 4 and chain 1. And you have to decide how you're going to do this. If you're going to do this every row, every other row. So see, I did 2 rows with you, and now I'm doing this row. This is the 3rd row. So you'll have to decide what you want to do. And the reason I bring this up is because if you plan to do a truly scrappy project where you're not using full skeins of yarn every single time and you're just pulling stuff out of your stash, then you want to know how to add the color on and how to change it up. So I will continue on with this, and when I come back, we will have a 7-inch square, and I will show you how it looks with our scraps in there. See you back. Okay, welcome back. I have finished my Trinity Stitch square. This is square number 6. And I found, and I don't know if you guys have found that, it pulls in as you go along for some reason. Now, I did mine in 2 colors, changing it out, and then it encased it when I went in and put the border on it. It encased it. So I may not have mentioned this, and I'm sorry that I did not film me watching this, but if you go back and watch the previous squares, you do 25 stitches along the edges and you do 3 in each corner. So you will have 112 stitches all the way around for the border. So that's your finish. So here is this one. Okay, now we're going to start on square number 7. Start with our slip knot and then chain 26 loosely. 26. Now you're going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook and at each chain across, which will leave you with 25 single crochets. So there's 1 and 2. And I did want to mention that some people, like Madonna, Madonna Ballard, they go into the stitch and they bring up two of the parts of the stitch, see? So it gives it a different look on the bottom, a different finish. I have not been doing that all along, but it's something I wanted to mention because it's another way of doing your squares. I know it's late in the game to be saying this. I wanted to just teach that little trick to some people who may not be familiar with it. So see, there's that one there and that one there, and there's one that's kind of running from back here. And you go below that, and that gives you 2. It almost is like that first row is definitely your first row, instead of being that you can see you had a chain and then a row. Another way that people like to do this, and I know Mikey from the Crochet Crowd does it all the time, he turns his chain over and he goes into this loop here on the back, this bump. See there. It's like the dashes, dash, 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 dash. He goes into the dashes. But since I'm already starting this whole thing with doing it the way I've been doing it, I'm going to just continue on. I just really wanted to take this minute to kind of teach you something a little bit different. Okay, second chain, single crochet, and single crochet across. Some people say that the other way of doing it also helps with the curling, that it doesn't curl so much and pull in. Okay, see you in a minute. Okay, coming up to the end, these last couple of stitches, and now you're going to chain 1 and turn. This is row 2. Okay, so now don't forget to put a different color of yarn on here for your marking of your front side. Okay, so after that, chain 1. Now we are going to go in and do a single crochet in the first 4 single crochets, and then we're going to do a puff stitch. So in this case, we're not going here, we're going to this one. Not in that, under that chain 1 in the first stitch. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, this is an alternate puff stitch, which means on this row, we're going to go over 4 before we start. In the next puff row, we're going to go over 2. And we're going to go back and forth between 4 and 2, 4 and 2, with a single crochet row in between. And that's the repeat. So here is the puff stitch. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go in the same stitch, pull up a loop, and do it one more time. So now you should have 7 loops on your hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now you're going to yarn over and go through all 7. And now you're not going to chain 1. You're going to go immediately into the next stitch, and we're going to stitch 3 single crochets. So here's the first one, single crochet, and kind of cinch that up just a little, just snug it. Then a single crochet again, and a single crochet again. So we did our puff, and we did 3 single crochets. And we're going to do that across until you get to the last stitch. The last stitch is a single crochet, so you actually end with the 4 here. You started with 4, you end with a 4 on that row. Okay, let's do the puff again. Yarn over, go into the stitch, pull up a loop. Do that again and again. Pull through all of them and go into the next stitch. Single crochet, snug it, single crochet, single crochet. And again, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop. Remember, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yarn over, pull through all of them, and then go immediately into your next single crochet and do 3 of them. There's the 1, snug it, 2, and 3. So puff stitch, 3 single crochets, puff stitch, 3 single crochets all the way across. And then down here at the end, you know you're going to wind up, you're going to do the puff stitch, then you're going to do your 3, and then you'll have the 1 left over, and you'll do 1 in there, single crochets. So that's 1 and 2 and 3. Come through all of them, and then go 1 and 2 and 3, and let's do the last one. Make sure you get both front and back on that last one. They tend to hang off the edge over there. And now here you're going to chain 1. Now you've got your puff stitches. There should be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to single crochet back. Okay, go into that first stitch, not the chain, but the first stitch. And single crochet all the way across. Which means you're back to your 25 stitches. And so where those sit, just kind of turn it to look. There it sits right there, right there, right there. You'll get the hang of it once you feel it a few times. There's a pretty good little space there for you. So see, you're going to do your single crochet all the way across. Okay, we're down to the last 2 stitches. Chain 1 and turn. Now we're going to do the alternate. So the alternate puff stitch, we're only going to go over and do 2 single crochets. Then we're going to work the puff stitch. So this is our first stitch right here. There's 1, and there's 2. Now we're going to do our puff stitch. And now you're going to do the 3 single crochets again. So that's the difference. So here, when you did this, you did a single row of single crochets, and then you did 4 and puff stitch, 3, puff stitch, 3, puff stitch, 3. And then we did single crochet row, and now we're doing to go in by 2, puff stitch 3, puff stitch 3. So in by 4 single crochets, in by 2 single crochets. That's the repeat. Okay, now I'm going to show you on the other side how it's looking. Wanted to wait till we had a couple of them. So again, you're only going to have 5. No, you'll have 6. You'll have 5 and then 6, 5 and then 6, 5 and then 6. One, 2, 3 single crochets. One, 2, 3, pull through. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Pull through. 1, 2, 3. Yarn over. 1, 2, 3. Pull through all of them. 1 and 2. Because remember, there was 2 here. Now there's 2 here. Chain 1. And that's how it's looking. And that's your repeat. Now you're going to do a row of single crochets, and then you're going to repeat going in by 4. 4 single crochets, puff stitch, 3 single crochets, puff stitch to the end, and then you'll wind up with your 4 single crochets at the end. And then you'll do your single crochet row, and then you'll go in by 2, do 2 single crochets, puff stitch, 3 single crochets, puff stitch, 3 single across, where you'll wind up with 2 single crochets at the end. And that is the repeat. I will try to make this a more simple pattern. If you can read that, you know, some people can't read patterns, but I will try to leave a little box at the bottom of this description box so that you can follow that and read the instructions. So, okay, I'll see you back when we've got this square done. Number 6 and then number 7. I was just finishing putting in the weaving in my ends. I wanted to show you that last one and do that one in a different colors to show you that you can truly make these as a scrap project. There's no reason why you can't just use scraps. I know there's a couple of them that maybe you might just like the look better if it was a solid color. So you just have to decide what you want in your blanket, but you truly can make this a totally scrap project. Okay, so here is number 7, which is my alternate puff stitch. Now I will say that it looks really, really good everywhere. However, I noticed something. When I finished off my square, I obviously finished right here. And now if you can see this, I finished this with my single crochet row. And then when I did my border, I went around it and I've got a space up here at the top. There's not as much space up here. Now I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not taking it out and doing it again. I think it's perfectly fine. But when you finish yours, I would suggest when you finish at the edge that you finish with your puff stitches and then put your border on. That way you don't wind up with more here at the top or bottom, whichever. This is really the bottom. So that's what I think happened on that, but that's no big deal. So anyway, here we are. That's number 7. So I hope you have enjoyed these stitches. These are some nice textures on these. I really like this Trinity Stitch a lot. I think these, I've already had a couple people tell me they've made some washcloths out of these, dishcloths, washcloths, cotton stuff. And I think it would be very nice. And this one I think would be good too, because the puffs, you know, would help you to scrub or to wash with. So the textured ones are really kind of neat. Okay, that's it for this time. I will see you for the next 2 squares coming up in a week or so, probably after Christmas, but I'll try to get them done before then. I just doubt that I will. So have a great day. Thank you for watching. Please hit the thumbs up and have fun today. Bye, everybody.